Hey everyone, it is that time again where I become very small and we talk about decks for the next... Actually, that happens every week, except this time we're talking about new stuff, right? New stuff. Sets coming out this Friday, set 3 for Overdress. Lots of drama the last few days, but now let's settle down and talk about what new stuff we got and how we're going to integrate them into what we have. We have 3 new ride lines as well to bring the entire deck count up to 15 from the main set. Basically, we're not going to touch any of the lyrical stuff, the monster strike stuff, because they don't get updated. And I mean, some decks here also do get updated too, but I'll leave that to later, right? But we're going to talk about all the decks. These are my preliminary decks that I built. These ones are the ones I will be trying out, seeing how to improve. Other people have different ideas, right? Next week we'll see some from VG top decks or tournament scene coming up, because I think Japan might be opening up soon, so we might see more from that, and just to see how these decks might compare. I do an update to this when the English set comes out. I do an English update to make everything more meta, because English players we like playing the best of the best, right? We like to be meta dogs. So I'll update that in December. way down in December I'll update it, but I will. So these are just kind of the preliminary ones. Let me know what you guys think later on after you've seen all of them. But we'll start off with some Nirvana. Now, you've been staring at the screen quite a lot. Just a heads up, boys. There was a change to how many triggers you can run. Like how many triggers of each type you can run in standard. So you can only run up to 8 draw, crits, and front triggers. So you can run like 8 crits and 4 fronts, or 8 fronts. But you can't run more than that. You can't run 9 crits, for example, right? So you can't play 11 crit builds. So basically what that means is that a lot of decks that were going, okay, I'm running 8 crits and 3 fronts, I'm going to upgrade those fronts to draws because we're getting a 3rd set of crits. They're staying fronts, basically. They're staying fronts. But if you look at this Nirvana deck, I went with draws. There is, I think there's some discussion on which is better, right? There's draws or fronts. I think looking at a lot of the previous decks we saw before at bigger tournaments, they did eventually go with draws because they want to draw pieces, right? They want to draw pieces. Fronts are nice, they're nice and bulky, but you want to draw pieces to kill the opponent. And with the Expector coming in, I kind of want to play Expector, right? I could just not run it and just run the same old build that we've been playing all the time, and I think that do pretty well. But with Expector getting huge power and crit, you can randomly win against opponents. I want to try it out at least and give it a good fair shake, right? So I ran with draws because the idea is you want to just draw into your pieces. You want to draw into your pieces. Now you can say, but you don't have a lot of shield, and that is not the case. Because we've got this new card. I've got to point this new card out. It's called Madoka for short, and it is a dragon. It is not a magical girl. But basically, what this card says is it's a continuous effect on the Reguard or Guardian Circle based on the number of cards in your opponent's drop zone. If they have 4 or more cards, this gets plus 2k power and 5k shield. But if they have 8 more cards in the drop zone, it gets a further 5k more. So overall, this can become a 15k shield or a 10k boost. So it's literally solving 2 of our issues by just running this one card, right? Which is great. More shield or a 10k boost. And I mean, there is a restriction, of course. 4 or more cards in their drop zone. I don't think that's that hard to hit, right? Just because you discard to ride, things like that. You guard, so hitting 4 is not hard. And so when you hit that 4 threshold, you're a 10k booster and a 10k shield. So that's pretty good. Like that's hitting some decent shield values. But as the game progresses, it becomes even more shield. So that's great. So I think because of this card, we still have that kind of bulkiness that we like, and we can just run the draws to get more pieces. We're still running 2 Tokashi Rashi just because the extra soul from Urger is good if we want to use some Virina as well. We can. I mean, we have soul crits now, or Thet crits that go to soul. They give 2k power, but who really cares about 2k power? It's all about that soul. So yeah, I think our soul is kind of better looking now, while still maintaining like a lot of aggression that we can still have. Not many changes, to be honest, with just Virina here, because I think the package is just overall really good. You still don't want to commit as many cards onto the back row because you're facing against Leonards, against like prisons and all that. So it's still more of a front game, and Expector kind of contributes that huge front load of power. So overall, I think this is where I'm sitting at with Nirvana, and of course, it's good if you don't have to buy that many cards, right? Moving on with Overlord, and again, Overlord is another deck that really doesn't see much change. It really wanted to go max crit, but instead it stays with just crit in fronts. But again, right, talking about just the Madoka, I've talked about this card, we're running 4 of it just because, again, it's a 10k shield. It's like if we want to play Reno, early game to be aggressive. This is kind of your Reno, except it's not. It can't really hit up early game, but it still becomes tanky later on. But you still have the aggressive options like the 15k beta, and the rest of it is just kind of similar. We have the crit Triceratops here, which is just good intent just to get the extra overlords. But apart from that, it's just still performing the same as before, so not many changes. Moving on to Eugene though, right? Moving on to Eugene. This is really weird to say, but I have to say that this deck actually has a lot of potential, right? A lot of potential. There is a new order, or there are a few new orders, and you might be thinking, well, yeah, there's that order that retires the booster. That seems pretty good, right? And no, it's not that order. It is this order. I think this is called like Capture Party or something. But when I read this, I went like, are you for real? So I'll tell you the effect. So when you play it, you give one of your Vanguards for the turn this following ability. During the main phase, when you retire your opponent's regards, you draw a card. So basically, if you're on Eugene and you play this card, Eugene itself has an inbuilt effect to just rest 2 and retire something, right? So you get to draw a card. So this basically just draws for itself. Like it's like a hand, it's like a filter, right? It's a deck filter. But remember, Eugene is the retire deck. You actually have a lot of ways to retire cards, right? Like Eugene, okay, let's look at Eugene. Yeah, just rest 2. That is free. That is free. You can retire back row, he gets 10k, and bam, you draw a card. But hang on, we have a new grade 2. This guy, you put in a card from hand and draw a card. You will put in a card from hand to soul, draw a card and retire grade 2 or higher opponent's unit. Then you draw a card if you play that order. Hey, remember that long boy back then? That was a Soul Blast one, rest itself, retire card, draw card, and then you stand, right? So we have so many ways of retiring now, it's actually insane. What, you retire? Bam, you can trigger this guy as well. He gets 10k, or you get to soul him in, retire something, and draw a card. So at the worst, this card is just replacing itself. But at the best, you are drawing cards. So I'm just going, wow. Are you is this for real? I'm gonna play 4 copies, and every turn I want to play this and just focus on retiring stuff. And if your opponent has no cards on the field, you've already won, because then they're not aggressing you as much, or they've managed to soul in their entire field. But in that case, well, you're probably playing against, I don't know, Baromagnes or something. Even a Barrow will have like 2 cards on the field. So, right, like if they just have 2 cards on the field, you are basically +1ing from that. So I think that's pretty good, right? And then you're running like Kizan Rage, you can lock down fields, just makes your opponent's life very tough. And overall, your counterblast usage is quite low, right? Your counterblast, you've got Dragger to use the counterblast, this uses the counterblast, your new Blitz Order uses the counterblast, but that's about it. So you're kind of getting away with CB. Personally, I don't think he's that amazing, because I think a lot of decks are focusing on not playing a back row right now. But you know, so over your counterblast use is quite fine. Your soul is a bit high, I think. There's a lot of cards that use soul, but at the same time, you have a lot of ways to kind of generate soul. And then since you're drawing a bit, you can get to those cards better. You have crit effects, right? Effect crit, sorry. And then, you know, drawing means drawing into like persona rides and things like that. So I think that's fine. And then overall, like you can even just use Eugene's secondary effect to actually just dig for cards rather than, you know, try to make a full field. And I think that's the success that a lot of Eugene players have kind of employed, right? Don't get too greedy with this Soul Blast 5. But apart from that, you're just the premier retire deck right now, and you're plussing from it. So I actually think that there is a lot of possibility for Eugene. This is definitely a huge work in progress, but I don't know, the days of saying, I mean, I guess last set, you know, Eugene already wasn't the worst deck, but I think Eugene's just rising. It's rising hard, like I don't know, like Metal Gear Rising, but well, actually, Metal Gear Rising is pretty good. Just saying, yeah, no, he's doing pretty good. You're tying all those things. So, lots of looks at Eugene right now. This is like, you know, that meme where the guy's like turning, so it's like, wow, cool, drawing cards is great. Next we have is Bruce. All right, Bruce. This one. You look at this Bruce deck, and I'm going to tell you, right, the reason why I built this Bruce deck is so you can have the most brain-dead Bruce deck of your entire life, right? I think like one thing I might change here is I might change this the fronts to crits, right? Just rather than play Rainbow. I know like previous decks kind of just run Rainbow and I kind of got used to it. But overall, like people were talking about Pandemonium tactics, people talking about Derek. Let's just put them all together into a nice, fun deck and just win games, right? Win games. So what I found really was that when I look at a lot of players who play Bruce, they have either like issues like knowing how to get to their 4th turn, and then since they're not great at doing that, they don't have the best resources, etc. Or maybe they can't plan ahead where, you know, oh, I have to Soul Blast 5 twice, that's a bit hard. Pandemonium tactics just basically doesn't just solves that problem for you. You never even have to think about your resource anymore. You just have to go face and win. And that's basically it. This is the brain dead Bruce deck. This is the Herpader Bruce deck. You just smash face and destroy them, right? What has really changed? We've taken out Marjorie. Marjorie's a good card. It does generate a lot of hands. It's great, it makes multi-attacks, but who needs that? Who needs to be big brain and going to time every game when you can just do a lot of attacks? Well, not a lot of attacks, just a lot of big, beefy attacks and smash their face with it, right? If they put down a field, your Leonard clears out that field, right? If they don't put a field, your Derek clears out that. Well, it doesn't clear out a field. You make your own field, or you make a bunch of soul. Your Pandemonium tactics again, like on your first final rush turn, you have like 5 soul. This pumps it up to 9, so you also get the draw and the plus 10k. And then after that, what? You final rush. You go down to 4. Next turn, your Pandemonium tactics, you go up to 8. But like last turn, you probably used a Derby, you go up to 9. Basically, I think you use your Proto Bulb to just get the card that you're missing, right? You're missing a Pandemonium, get the Pandemonium back. If you're missing a Persona Ride, get that back. If you need more shield, just get this, right? So overall, the deck just does what it does. It does it better. It does it kind of faster. You need less brain power as well to play Bruce. So hopefully you can just win. You can probably make mistakes and still win pretty hard, right? I know there is a combo right now where you have the new Quen Lo card, which is just gives grade 1 or high guard restrict to a card and kind of put it on like Eden or something and pump it up really high. And I think that's a cool combo. You can put on like Leonard as well, and they can't guard Leonards and just like, you know, makes multi-stack. But it is a 2-card combo, and before like you don't really have a way to tutor those cards outright. So the only way to do that is like via a Proto Bulb. That's your like 2nd final rush turn. But usually when the way that I think about it, by your 2nd final rush turn, no matter what you play down, they're probably dead. They're probably dead, right? So yeah, that's just play even lamer cards and you can accomplish the same thing. So I think this is pretty fun to play, pretty easy to play as well. Let me know, guys, what you think. If you still like Marjorie's, rip in peace. But yeah, I think there's this way you can build your final rush deck, to be honest. Reaches turn 4, you can just randomly beat up your opponent. Good times, right? Good times. Next we have is Baromagnes. Now, Baromagnes, if you look at this deck, basically nothing has changed, right? Literally nothing has changed. It is sad times for a Baromagnes play. If you go to my previous video, my English update to set 2, you go, wow, there is a 1-card change, I think, in this deck. And then I added this new Ashura to build, and minus a Brother's Soul. The way I see it, right, is Brother's Soul is great. You know, it soul charges 2, it lets you turbo quickly, and running, if you get like 2 of them in the opening hand, I think you're like, it's pretty good, because like soul charge 2 will just like kind of turbo you pretty well. You just need a couple of more cards that soul charge X, you're fine. But you know, you have a situation sometimes where you have too many Brother's Soul and you draw them too late, and then they kind of just become irrelevant because you don't really run any cards that can kind of put into soul. So they kind of become dead cards in your hand. So the way I see it is like you can run 3, and then this Ashura kind of like lets you defend, but that when you defend with it, it goes to soul. So it generates an extra soul like that, and then you just hope that you draw a bunch of other soul charge pieces and you're fine. So that's basically all the changes. Of course, you have effect crits now, which go to soul, so that kind of helps a bit to do that turboing. But apart from that, yeah, it's the same stuff, man. Now you don't have to buy 2 TDs, you don't have to buy 2 Bruce TDs, you just need 1, right? Because they only give you 3 Brother's Soul. But yeah, I've saved you 333 yen, right? Like, it's been 6 months. I've saved you 333 yen. How crazy is that? Next we have is Greedon. So Greedon here, we have, you might look at this deck and go, why are you running draws? And I say, because I can't run 11 crit. I can't run 11 crit. But even if I could, I think I wouldn't. Because if you look at this entire deck, it's missing a way to generate advantage. The only way you get cards is via Gungaram, and that's it. You Soul Blaster and draw a card. That is your only way. Greedon's effect is cool, it restands, right? But you have to suck in 4 cards. So if you're not triggering a draw on Overtrigger, you are basically not getting much advantage at all. And sure, you have 7 damage, but your opponent can just like push you, and you feel awful, right? You feel awful. The deck before, what really mattered before, right, is the deck was lacking another big beefy attack, and this is why Hysteria became just kind of was perfect. Like, we got this card, I think, on the card list reveal. So when this came out, I look at this card and go, okay, that's cool. That's cool. It can kind of hit like 21 if you're not if you're just bashing by itself, but even 5 more damage, it's hitting like 33, right? 33 on a Persona Ride turn, it's 43. So it's not bad. It's not bad. You hit with this first and double attack with the Vanguard, and you know your Vanguard is usually hitting really high. So unless your opponent has more nulls, then he's dead. And that's pretty much basically the entire deck, right? If you deck out, you deck out. That's it. If your opponent heals twice early game, that's it. You probably lost because you just can't get through those damage thresholds. If they have too many nulls, you probably lost as well. But you know, if they don't heal, right, you might win because you hit like this is pretty much the Dimension Police. Which is kind of weird. It's like kind of like the Dimension Police of D, where like your Vanguard is hitting big. Unfortunately, it doesn't have crit, but it just hits big and then hits big again, and then sometimes you get a crit, and then your opponent dies. Next we have is Bastion. All right, as you can see, this is another one of those decks that basically have no changes. Actually, there's like no changes at all. I basically added in 2 Rafalsos just to make it so it looks like you bought something, and then you add some effect crits, and you're done. All right, why are you gonna change any of this? People are saying, I read people are saying, you know, you could run the set order that gives all your grade 3 boost, or you could just run this guy, right? You could just run Dark Rain. Is it, dude, I forgot the name. Dark Strain. My God, Dark Strain Dragon, because it's a 15k body. Okay, it is a body on the field, and is it really? Are you using your soul that badly that you don't have any soul? Like, are you real? Are you for real? It's just play a bit better. Like, use a bit of brain power. I know it's Bastion. You can play like Herpaderp and just win, but you know, use that brain, manage your resources a bit better, and I think Dark Strain will just work fine with you. Sometimes you can even win without Dark Strain. What other cards can we replace? Basically nothing. Fasado generates just an amazing card, generates everything. The only card that's like really dropped in value is Kookabil, because now like you don't add more grade 3s to the field. In fact, you probably are going to lose more grade 3s now because cards have gotten better. So Kookabil's value has kind of dropped a bit, but apart from that, what else can you replace? You can't replace Alden, right? You can't replace Refluke, because Refluke just, it's a grade 3 that goes to Soul and gives something 10k. It's amazing. It's amazing, right? It's amazing. You look at all the Keta cards, especially the grade 3s, all the grade 3 support that we got in set 3. It's pretty average, right? It's pretty average. It's not great. So why run it? Why run that stuff when you already have a perfectly working deck right here? You see, I'm even just tripping over my tongue because I'm just so exasperated at how weak of a support Bastion got. But to be honest, I'm just saying it probably deserves it, because set 1 Bastion was already, I think, leagues ahead of a lot of decks. Set 2 Bastion basically got no support, still like one of the strongest decks in the metagame. And 3rd set Bastion, it still probably is going to be one of the strongest decks in the game. That's just how good it is. So yeah, it's good that it didn't get any more broken support. So yeah, whatever. Right? A set that did get really good support though is Hexaorb. Now Hexaorb got a new Magus, right? Or got Sorceress, I think, right? So Kakarune. She's nice. She is just a slightly better hitter. She's extra shield, but the most important thing is that she rearranges the top deck so you can trigger better, and you can kind of combo a bit better, know what's coming up, and win, right? And that's just pretty much the entirety of this deck. You have 2 cards that let you, well, 3 cards. You got the Pentagleam, Owine, and Kakorone around. Your entire grade 2 lineup is just looking at top cards of your deck. You have a new grade 1 that is really cool, right? So when you've got Totoris, so when she comes into play, you can, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or high, you can counterblast 1 and search your deck for a Hexaorb and add it to your hand. Simple. The interesting thing though is that her effect is actually it's really weird to use it, right? Because when you start off, right, if you don't have a Hexaorb in your hand, but you have her, the turn you ride your Hexaorb, you're riding over a Pentagleam and you're looking at the top three. If your three is like crit crit something, right, you're not going to use Tortoris's effect. So you have the issue where your next turn is definitely not going to have a Persona Ride unless you just go, I don't care about the 2 criticals on top of my deck, I'm just going to get her to get my Persona Ride, right? So it's kind of a bit weird. Ideally, you do have like a Hexaorb, so you can go Hexaorb, Hexaorb, and then on that turn, you can use her effect to get another Hexaorb, and then you're fine, and then you start stacking your deck. But apart from that, yeah, it is kind of weird when her effect kind of conflicts with your Pentagleam ride stuff. Maybe like if you look at your Pentagleam and go, oh, there's like just three blanks there, your Tortoris can reset it and get you something, and that's fine, right? But yeah, there is that weird situation. Deerglass is that card that I think looks really, really good on paper, but I really want to cut her because I never really used her effect. I've used it once, and that's when I got crit, right? So when you get crit, then you can use her, because your first CB is always reserved for your ride chain, right? You need a CB1 to draw it. So yeah, but if you get crit, you have 2 CBs to use, so you can use Deerglass, and then possibly plus, but you can still stack the deck, right? So that's pretty nice. So I kept her at 3, but yeah, just bear in mind I rarely use her effect. And the last card is just this new order that we got. The way I look at this order, right? At first I was going, you know what? On the turns that I don't Persona Ride, I can use this order to be able to, you know, stack my deck and like trigger things, right? But when you think about it, I think it's just way better to use it on your Persona Ride turns, because you can look at, like, let's say you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, you're like, oh wow, there's a crit there and a blank. So I can then stack it so the blank is at top, and then like use this effect to stack another crit on top while drawing the blank, yeah? And then I can then use Hexaorb's effect to get triple drive, and then stack another crit. So I can like be super mean like that, or just don't stack anything and just confirm that you have like 2 crits coming, right? So I think it's just way better to combo it with the Persona Ride, because then you just have like a lot more pressure. But then again, or you can do like what, you can do crit front. That's a pretty good thing. Yeah, apart from that, you know, sure, you have that turn where it's like, yeah, maybe there's nothing happening, you know, just a blank. I do just still want to trigger something, but I think it's just better to save it for those big turns. I put it up to 2. But yeah, it's something that's good to have. But overall, I think the deck is just way stronger now. It used to be even more stronger when you could play 11 crit, right? Because you just crit. But now you still have to run the fronts. So that's fine. That's fine. Lastly, for Keta, we have Phantom Blaster Dragon. This deck I'm just gonna go out there. I think my previous builds of Phantom Blaster Dragon was better because I made them more grade 3 focused, so you can convert it more to a Bastion deck easier. But this one is just a much more Phantom Blaster build. You did get one new card, right? And that is Greedon. And what his effect is that when he is retired for one of your unit's costs, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and get a card with Blaster in its name and add it to your hand. The rest goes to the bottom of the deck. Now, yeah, that's it. That's it. How did I build this? I just put in a lot of blasters, so there's more of a chance that this guy hits something. And then I put in like a top deck checker, right? Pentagleam, because it's the best grade 2. And then I just ran a Charon. Again, like, why? Because he gets something off the top that you can retire with. It's cool. Overall, I think he's not great because he's 7k, so he doesn't hit any numbers. And you have to run draws because you retire so much, and you need to run Prana because she counts too. Right? Then the deck just kind of built itself because of that. And there's one slot, so you run this old guy, this old dragon, and it's just, since you have so many more blasters, they can get 5k, right? So that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, that's it. This deck is not very good. I think this is literally the worst deck in the entire meta right now, which is sad, but sure, right? Sure. It's just didn't get any support. Phantom Blaster Dragon's effect is just average at best, not even below average at best, I think, right? Below average. If this was like 50, if they just put the old V Phantom Blaster Dragon and gave it a Persona Ride instead of Force Market, this deck might be good. But because it's not. That's it. Moving on, we have Magnolia. All right, so Magnolia is a bit weird. I actually had a bit of trouble building this deck, but there are some concepts here that I think is pretty interesting. You still run a high draw count, right? High draw, just because you need to draw into pieces. But we have this new Aquaforce looking lady. This is, I think it's priced? I don't know. Prized Trident? Yeah. But yeah, what she does is, why don't I minimize it? So yeah, so what she does is that when your other unit attacks, if it is the 5th battle of that turn, you can put it into a soul and countercharge one. So she solves 2 problems in the Magnolia deck, and that is that you add soul and you get to countercharge. And those are 2 great things that you really want to have. Now, what else have we put in? If you combo this with Dama Inaru, that means on non-persona ride turns, you can make like, your Magnolia can make a back row attack. This makes another back row attack. So you have 5 attacks, right? So you can trigger the Trident, and then you know this effect kind of becomes free, and the Magnolia effect kind of becomes free. So I like that kind of combo. That's what we went with round 3. We also have an Alenia as well, just to push early game, because that's important, right? You know, Bastion push early game, Bruce push early game, Lauro push early game, and that's what Alenia kind of does. And yeah, her effect used to be pretty hefty, but now we have ways to kind of get around that. And then we still have Gynosera, because it's just a nice big turn. We have this fat cat. Well, not really a fat cat. It's like a maybe it's a leopard, cheetah, tight. I don't know. It's a weird thing. This effect's kind of weird. So it's basically used as a finisher and as guard restrict, but overall, apart from that, it doesn't really have many uses. So I put it down to 2, and then if you combo with Gynosera, it's pretty good. And it's based on your opponent's cards as well, which is kind of sad. You basically pick everything on your opponent's side of the field, and you get guard restrict for every grade that you pick. So if they have like a 0, 1, 2, 3, then they can't guard with anything. But if they don't have a field, then this card becomes junk. And the effect triggers when the card in the same column attack. So you have to have something behind it, and then you use it. But it's very limited because you're banking on your opponent having things. I kept it at 2. Your ideal target for a finisher is still Gynosera, but apart from that, yeah, that's basically the deck. The deer is really good. This new deer that you got is nice if you come into play on the Guardian Circle. If your Vanguard is Magnolia, this unit gets 5k power, 5k shields. 10k shields nice, but the nice thing is if it attacks from the back row, at the end of the battle, it bounces back to your hand. So you attack with it, you can then guard with it, but the key thing is against things like a Lender or something, you're making empty slots, so you're not just giving free cards to Bruce, right? So yeah, it dodges those like other retire cards as well, and just overall it's pretty good. So we're running 4 of that deer, and then unfortunately he's like 8k, but he hits 13, so it's a nice number. Not many boosters in this deck, which is kind of unfortunate. We're running like 1 extra of the Bobble Axe, because you know just it hits 13, and then with the Magnolia still 18. It's still a nice number, But from that, yeah, that's kind of the deck with Magnolia. I think there's a lot of ways you can build this. Still 4 wild intelligence as well, just to make a field. Yeah, I think there should be more ways you can play around with this, and this is just kind of like a preliminary build. Lastly, for Stoicheia, we have Flagberg Dragon. Now, Flagberg Dragon is there's not much you can do with this deck, in my opinion. Like, the ways to build it seem very, very stuffy, right? Very, very constricted. You're kind of like, the biggest problem with this deck is you don't have soul, because everything kind of comes out when you ride over it. And then the last kind of chain with Ascendance Assault, if you have a Flagberg or an Inroad Assault in your hand, you don't have to play the Soul Blast cost. Yeah. That's the only way for you to like keep 1 soul in your ride line or your ride chain, right? Because again, if you don't have it, you have to Soul Blast something else. So you have to Soul Blast the 0, right? When you ride over the 1 comes out. The 2, when you ride over the 2, you Soul Blast the 0, that comes out. No soul, right? No soul. So then a lot of your other things don't work. Like this card, you know, you see me one Soul Blast. Oh, sorry, man, it doesn't work, bro. It doesn't work. What, this one Soul Blast? Yeah. And then what? your Creed Assault. Oh wait, nothing can withstand, so this card can't do anything. So yeah, your deck kind of falls apart. So I used to be running the Magnolia order that gives power for every attack that you do to a unit, right? So, but overall, I just cut it because just add more Inroad Assault. Inroad Assault is actually a pretty average card, right? I'm about to say awful, but it's just a very average card. Nah, okay, I'll call it an awful card, right? It's a 10k beat. Who cares? Who cares about this? But the fact that you're not just banking on having one of the 3 copies of Flagberg in your hands when you ride over Ascendance Assault is a bit better. Right now you have 5 targets, you can have either 3 Flagbergs or 2 Inroads. So that means it kind of is an extra soul in a way. The only other way to generate that soul is the crit. But yeah, it's just it's so bad. it's so bad. Yeah, after you get your soul issue sorted, once you start doing 5 attacks, just pray your opponent doesn't get a trigger, and then you're fine. Once you get and do 5 attacks though, you can have the trident to kind of make your life a bit easier. You know, you won't have any counterblast issues. You have less soul issues. And there's an interesting kind of gimmick where on the 5th attack, right? If you've got a Flagberg, if you have like if you have no CB, right, you can just use this effect first to kind of countercharge it, and then use the Flagberg effect. So just a kind of interesting surprise to your opponent. But apart from that, yeah, you have to run draw triggers just because you want pieces. Right? You want pieces. Lastly, let's move on to Brandgate. We have Seraph Snow. There is basically hardly any changes done to this deck. This deck would have been really amazing with the 11 crits, but I think it took out like 1 copy of the Order, and I think 1 copy of the Grade 1 just to add in 2 Lemonons. Right, Lemonon. Cannon Prison 3 has crit pressure, gets 10k power. So overall, it's kind of okay. It's been testing out okay. If you don't like her, just add the Order back, add this guy back, Bugmona back, and your deck's fine. Right, it's just literally the same deck from set 2, and it just worked pretty well. So why change it? Why change it? A lot of the new stuff that puts stuff in prison really isn't very good. There is one card that kind of forces your opponent to put something from hand into prison, then draw a card. So people have been thinking about, hey, if I combo that and the green lady, Mechalite, you know, you can kind of maybe mill up to 8 cards from your opponent's hand, deck, sorry. And that's that could facilitate a deck out strategy, right? So some ideas there, but overall I think just running the old stuff, maybe adds 2 of these Lebanon is the most relevant things. Yeah, that's kind of it. It's kind of this deck, right? Literally no changes. You're like Baromagnes, except infinitely better, right? And then we have Orfist. Now, one thing with Orfist, I had to think about this a bit because a lot of the new cards that came out required a lot of soul blasting for not much plussing, in my opinion. Not much advantage gained from doing that. So in the end, I kind of added you know, Baromagnes, right? Soul, add soul, counter charges. That's what I want to do. Add the new guy, right? The new restander. Because, you know what? At worst, he's a 15k beater, right? Let's be real. At worst, he's a 15k beater. He doesn't play very well with the other, with Alvaderd. But yeah, at worst, they're 15k beaters. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. One of the things I was thinking about with this kind of build was what kind of worlds I want to run, right? So before we had the idea of, you know, you just have to run like 1 Eclipse Moonlight because you can search it out, right? But when you look at the soul cost, and I don't really know if this is good enough, but the new order, I think it's like Eternity something, but yeah, this new order requires a Soul Blast true cost, and this effect is that when your Shadow Army token comes into play, they get 5k until the end of turn. So ideally you're hitting like 40, and then on a Persona Ride turn you have a 50 column, which is not bad. Like a 50 column is not bad. If you do a 15 boosting, like another 15, that's like hitting 30, but then with the extra 5k on you hit 35, so that's hitting over a front, and people will still be running fronts. That's pretty good. But then like a 15 and 8, right? With this will become 20 and 8, and that's 28, so that's also a pretty good number too. So what, like, the idea with this is that you ideally want to draw into one of these orders, and then your search can be, well, your opening hand can be mulliganing for one of these orders, and then your hand could search, your ride line can search for this last one. And why we're running 3 of this is so we still have our turn 2 play. If we draw into this, we have like a big turn 2, big 15k bash. But if we don't, then okay, that's tough. We have to play the grade 2, right? Why we're not running like 4-2 though is because if you think of the soul cost, it's like 2 for this and then 1 for this. Still works, but then the turns after that, you kind of just want to keep on. You want more of this order rather than this order, I think. So I think just running 3 of this is still pretty good, and just being able to just filter through your deck, I think it's fine, right? It's fine. You can have like a big turn where you do the Eclipse, Moonlight, and the Orfist effect. You make 4, and that's probably when you restand with this card, with the new card. So just some things to consider. But yeah, you want a mulligan for one of the 2s, and then you want to search for the 3. And if you actually just don't have it, if you don't have any orders in your opening hand, then I guess you're still searching for Eclipsing Moonlight, and that's just how the cookie crumbles, right? That's how the cookie crumbles. But I wouldn't like you can't, if you don't have one of the orders, you can't search for this one, because then your turn 2 doesn't do anything. Yeah. And why we're not running the retire one, well, just you can retire with Alvided if you want to, but overall I do value just kind of filtering through my deck rather than randomly retiring one of my opponent's stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the Orfist deck right now. Not to be honest, not many changes. It basically changed about like this card and this card, right? But yeah, that's kind of it. And then lastly, we have Gravidia. The biggest question is, how many meteorites do you want to run, right? And you can run up to 16. In this build, I am running 13. And the reasoning for it is like, at best, at the ultimate best, if you're really, really good at the game, you can do 2 5 meteor attacks and then 1 3 meteor attack, which gives you the crit, right? But the reality is more like you can do big fight, like you can do 2 5 meteor attacks, and then after that it's just like you just use 1, right? Remember, Gravidia's skill, right? You can destroy as many meteors as you want. So with 1, you get the 15k power, and then with 3, you get the crit on top of that, and then with 5, all your triggers activate twice. So generally, like, everyone's like, yeah, let's go 5, let's randomly win. That's cool, but just think about it this way, right? The crit is only relevant when your opponent is on like 3 or so. Or it's in the early game, it'll deal damage, which is nice. It'll deal 2 damage. Late game, it forces them to guard at 3 and then 4. But then at 5, you don't really need it. You just need the 1, right? You just need to pop the 1 meteor, and that's fine. That's how you come up with the amount of meteors you actually need. So like 5-5 works, 5-3 works as well, 5-3-3, right? And then 5-3-1-1, or 5-3 then 1-1-1. Yeah, it just feels like a nice number, a good number. I think anything lower, then you'll start running into situations where, you know, maybe the meteors just aren't lining up, right? Aren't lining up. The rest of the deck is just kind of straightforward. I don't know why I didn't put the ride line for the 1 properly, but this is part of your ride line too. This grade 1 is actually the MVP of the deck in my opinion, because it has an effect where you can Soul Blast 1 and put 2 meteors from hand into the order zone. So on 1 turn, you can put 3 meteors down. That's great. If you have this, you will never really have any meteor problems. We also run a grade 3. This is Pribram, something. It's just on hit, you can search a deck for an order and put into the order zone. It's nice. There is like a card that gets 5k shield and 5k power. I'm not running that because you don't really need it, I don't think. You're usually either winning or losing before you ever need that extra shield. We're running this, it's Regal, is it? It's just when it attacks, if your auto zone has a 3 or more meteorites, your opponent has to guard with 2 cards from there. I think it's just nice to like I'm only running 2 copies of it, nothing really special, but overall, it just, you know, being able to just add some extra pressure there works pretty well. Yeah, actually your ride line overall is just pretty good, right? Your ride line, the grade 1 Wells does that as the orders down, so it lets you pop off with the meteors. And the grade 2 Barringer, right? You can Soul Blast 3 to draw a card and then get 5k. So overall, I think she can hit like 20k by herself. So pretty nice. But gets you, like, these cards get you advantage as well. You don't really have any soul issues. You really only have deck issues, right? But yeah, you don't really have any soul issues with the medias. You don't have hand issues because you're drawing a bit, so your hand gets kind of tanky as well. So overall, the only question is, how well do you kill your opponent, or how are you killing your opponent, right? Yeah, that's kind of the deck. Really sad you can't go 11 crit, but you know, 8 is still quite threatening. Your front triggering ties is also quite threatening too. And then, you know, your opponent having to guard all that is also it's pretty tough for him, right? Pretty tough, as well as having to deal with their field getting wiped the entire time. So that is all the decks this set. Not that many changes for some decks, but you know, the weaker decks, it feels like they really got some big boosts in terms of their consistency and what they lacked before. Now they're getting, again, like what Zorga, getting some more ways to get orders. Eugene. I reckon Eugene could be a sleeper deck this set, right? So yeah, apart from PBD, of course, Phantom Blaster Dragon, just threw that into the bin, unfortunately. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Which decks are you most interested? I'm actually the most interested in Eugene, to be honest. The new ride lines, they seem okay. They seem okay. Out of all of them, I think maybe Gravidia is the best one out of the lot. Greedon's cool, but yeah, I think Gravidia is the best. But overall, you know, I love Bruce, guys. I love Bruce. Yeah, I will be posting the deck codes below in the description, so go check them out if you want to. I know some of these decks are missing some of the, like, one card from the ride line for some reason. So yeah, that will be updated with the new deck code. You can see like the deck codes on the screen now, but yeah, they will have the new ones with the ride lines, correct ride lines added. So just, yeah, be sure to check it out if you want to see like the correct everything. But I'm pretty sure you guys will know what the ride lines are, because they're just the cards with ride line effects. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, what your decks look like, and I will see you guys in the next video tomorrow. Bye.